Dr. Rahi Factor Fiction. Welcome. This is a very unique show because tonight the show is in Istanbul, Turkey, wake at 3 a.m. So Tarek's group, he goes all the way. When I say all the way, I mean all the way out to. Thank you for this. I was not expecting, and we love you for. So no special. Just go to questions. There, it was gonna. If you guys have questions, you can. We will be happy to answer your questions and hopefully earlier than normal, so that we can get. My mic is cutting. What to do about my mic? Let's turn mic up and running. Is that any? Oh, hang on. Better? That should be better. That's the Brio mic now. Is that any better? I'm being told that my mic is, yes, much better. Okay, great. Well, hi, I am your host, Dr. Rahi Victory, and I am the host of Fertility Factor Fiction. If you couldn't hear me a moment ago, we had the wrong mic. Our trusty sidekick, Dr. Tarek Ibrahim from the Ibrahim Strategies Group is currently away and very international at the moment. So he is up very, very late in the middle of the night to help us with this. So we're going to go straight to questions. I see we do have one already, and we will take your questions. I want to just quickly say, super exciting that we were recently away at the ESHRE conference. That's the European Society of Hormones and Reproductive Endocrinology. Very interesting little conference. We learned basically that everything we were already doing was kind of ahead of the curve. They're still catching up with where we are. So this show has helped us provide you with the very best care possible. I'm very excited to be able to share that with everybody. And we're really excited about the year ahead. And so we're really happy to be able to provide everyone with the very, very best frontline kind of avant-garde care possible. And a lot of research is still coming out. There was just a study this week that reviewed Letrozole FET protocols and showed that it's better, and we've been doing that for almost 2 years now. So some really exciting things around the corner, kind of supporting what we already have done and continue to do, and some new developments coming out as well. So lots of great information out there, and hopefully some new relationships with people that we met, and be able to share more exciting news with you in the future. In the interim, I think we'll jump right into questions. So Instagram is acting funny and not showing our video apparently, so I'm not sure what is going on there. Okay. Do you want me to do the Instagram from my phone? I can probably try that. Let me see if I can set that up and just go live on Instagram. I have no idea how to do the lives. Let's see. Nope. Let's do plus and live. There we go. All right. Well, Tarek, I've gone Instagram live, so it's on my phone now. I'll be looking at 2 different places. Sorry, guys, but we'll be on Instagram, and we'll be on the other systems as well. So hi, if you're just catching on with Instagram, I am Dr. Rahi Victory, the host of Fertility Factor Fiction. We have a little bit of a glitch because our social media asset is currently away. So I'm not sure the system's working the way it normally would. Okay, so we've got a question. Someone said, how do you get your hormones up? From Princess Joy. I'm trying to have a baby this year. I think I have poor egg quality. So Princess, it depends on what you mean by hormones up. there is no way to actually just get your hormones up. You kind of need to be able to focus on trying to improve your egg quality. That's vitamins and supplements and things like that. There is no other way really to do it. You can't really improve your hormones per se. It's very, very difficult to improve your hormones. So most women are focusing on improving their AMH, and there's no way to improve your AMH. It basically is what it is. There are some things that can slightly alter things, like DHEA or testosterone priming, but it's very, very slight. So if you have poor egg quality or you suspect you do, you really should see a fertility specialist. That's the best way to get help. Yeah. Okay, welcome back, Dr. V. Glad to see and hear that you are doing well. Hello, T. T is currently 3 a.m. for him, so the poor guy is working really hard. Just wanted to say hello because I follow you religiously every week. Thank you for all you teach us. Well, thank you guys for watching. It's amazing that we have the opportunity to do this and share it with you, and this is a great opportunity to share what we know and kind of assist people. So we love doing the show. It's a great thing for people to have, and we're excited about doing it every week. Excited enough that Tarek is up at 3 a.m. in Istanbul doing it. Princess Joy is back. What kind of vitamins do we think? So coenzyme Q10 is the main one that helps women with their egg quality. There's nothing wrong with using coenzyme Q10. It can be beneficial for improving the function of the mitochondria, which is where the cell kind of gets all its energy from. So that's really important. From the standpoint of things you can do to try and help otherwise with vitamins, iron, vitamin D, the coenzyme Q10, and the omega-3 fatty acids are all really important. Beyond that, you're really looking at doing things like specific to whether you have PCOS or endometriosis and those sorts of problems. And then you do need a good prenatal, so that's important as well. Apparently I am not live. Let's try going live. Maybe that's what we have to do. Oh, okay, I think we're about to go live. And now we are live on Instagram. So we are now live on Instagram. I had not hit the right button. This is why I need Tarek. So Tarek, we should be live now. Check it out there and let me know. Hello to everybody who is out there, and thank you for joining us. Sorry for the brief delay. We are experiencing some technical glitches, and here come a whole bunch of people. Hello to all our Instagram fans. Sorry for the funny angle. I do not have my setup ready to go here for having two separate systems. So tonight you get me on two separate cameras here, so it'll be like it used to be ages ago. But welcome to everybody. We are taking questions right away. So if you have questions, feel free to just share those with us. And we are getting some very nice comments from people joining us on Instagram. So that's kind of awesome. Thank you to all of you. Hi, Allison. I hope you're well. Allison is joining us on Facebook. Hi, Dr. V. Is red raspberry leaf tea beneficial to drink during the IVF process? So actually, I've looked that up before. Nobody knows for sure if red raspberry leaf tea is beneficial during the IVF process. We don't really know for sure. It's possible that it is helpful, but the reality is that we don't know for sure if it helps or not. It's one of those things where you can't really do a properly done study or trial. While you're pregnant, you definitely can't use it because it does have prostaglandins, so that's a more concerning problem. But if you're not pregnant, we don't know. It's unlikely to cause any problems. So yes, it can be beneficial. Maybe we just don't know for sure. Princess is asking, if you have poor egg quality, can IVF work? Yes. So IVF can work to help you, get pregnant even when you have an egg quality problem. So IVF can fix things. It also, excuse me, allows us to check the genetics of the egg to make sure that they're normal before we use them. So that can be very, very beneficial for a lot of people and save them a lot of time and grief. So yes, IVF can solve the problem sometimes. Tarek is telling me that I will be able to see the Instagram questions, but I cannot. Tarek, can you see them? Oh, you're putting them there. I see. Advice on breastfeeding and natural transfer. Is it possible? 10 months postpartum, no period yet. No, you should never be breastfeeding when you are trying to do anything fertility-wise, because your prolactin levels are up when you're breastfeeding, and they suppress your estrogen levels and the normal function of your endometrium. It's not birth control, but it's kind of like relative biologic birth control. So it does not make any sense ever to continue breastfeeding and try a natural transfer. There is no benefit to breastfeeding beyond a year. So if you're really concerned and want to breastfeed for as long as you should, you can go into a year, and then beyond that, you don't need to worry about it, and you can go ahead and try. Does a varicocele repair work? Yes, varicocele repairs can help. Frequently, we see a little bit of a transient blip in your sperm performance after a varicocele repair, depending on how severe the situation is. And you can kind of maximize the quality for that brief period of time and either get the sperm and use it or freeze it, and you'll see some improvements. So all of that is really important. And I actually just recommended it to a couple today. If you have reasonable sperm, but it's not amazing, varicoceles repairs don't seem to help that much. But if you've got pretty severely compromised sperm and you do a varicocele repair, you will see that temporary improvement. So it's worth considering. What can cause IUI to fail? That's a great question. There are too many answers to answer that in one show, so we don't know. It could be your egg quality, the sperm quality, your cervix, your lining, your uterus, endometriosis, infections, your immune system, bad luck, timing, the sperm prep, how many eggs you release, whether they were mature when they were released, whether it was natural or artificial. All of those things can be a factor. And then Princess is full of questions today. If you are underweight, can it cause you to not get too pregnant? Yes. If you are too underweight, that is not helpful and can actually be detrimental when you're trying to get pregnant. So women who struggle with their weight on the high end and the low end both share a heavier burden of infertility, and you definitely do not want to be underweight. You want to be a normal weight for yourself if you're trying to get pregnant. Thanks for the show, Dr. Victory. Really appreciate it. Sheba, you are very welcome. Okay, so I'm going back and forth here. How long is the waiting list to get in for IUI with donor sperm? There is zero waiting list for IUI with any kind of sperm. So just call us and get in, and we will happily do it for you. There's a wait to see us, but we are pretty caught up. So it's only taking about a month to get into myself or one of my associates, and then we will happily set up your IUI for you with donor sperm. How can adding dexamethasone to an IVF protocol be beneficial? So dexamethasone has been shown to be beneficial. It can amplify the responsiveness of the ovaries and help you make more eggs. There are some studies that suggest it may even be beneficial for live birth, so it's definitely worth considering. It's not for everybody, but it is worthy of consideration. So if you want to try Dex, you should. We've done fertility factor fiction episodes on dexamethasone use before, and we will likely be doing it again sometime soon because I actually wanted to review it for myself. We are going to implement Dex into some of our protocols coming up. Answering an Instagram. Yeah, I just named that one. Okay, so is there a bad drug interaction between Plaquenil and Prograf, since Plaquenil has a half-life of 22 days? Not that I'm aware of, no. Shouldn't be anything. Hello, Dr. V. I had APA tests, that's antiphospholipid antibody tests, in different labs in the same month. The ACA IgM is 31 in one lab and 16 in the other. Any idea why it's so different? Wow, that's a tough question. So I don't know why they're different. You'd have to check with what technique the labs were using. And you'd also have to see if you were on any medications when they did the tests. That is quite variable. And so if your anticardiolipin antibody is elevated, especially the IgM, I probably would not take the risk. I'd take the aspirin and the heparin because it's harmless if there's nothing wrong, but it will be very beneficial if there is something wrong. So that would be helpful. Valium before transfer, optional or a must? Definitely optional. I actually don't think anybody needs it, but we use it to help calm you down and keep you calm and happy. So there's nothing wrong with using Valium before a transfer. It's helpful if you're anxious, and we don't want you anxious. Hello, Dr. V&T. Another center said instead of triggering older women at 19 to 22, they trigger at 16 to 18. They say this doubles or triples the pregnancy rate for women over 43. Do you agree? Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that's going to double or triple your pregnancy rate when you're over 43. So that's obviously nonsense. We do tend to trigger a little bit earlier for women that are older. There are some weak studies that support that, nothing really strong and good, but it's not going to double or triple. That's nonsense. So don't believe the hype in that regard, but we do tend to trigger a little bit earlier. And it's case-to-case specific. There are some women where you trigger them earlier and then you end up getting immature eggs when you do IVF. So you got to be cautious with that as well. How can you gain weight to get pregnant? Carbs, fats, eat extra, fruits, vegetables, proteins. That's the easiest way. How well do intralipids work for high NK cells? From Cassandra. Also, another question. My clinic offered me a trigger shot with letrozole for timed intercourse. Is it better to have the trigger? Thanks. So, intralipids does work very well for high NK cells. In fact, in some labs, they use it to neutralize NK activity, and it actually demonstrates that it'll neutralize. So that's the kind of report we get from Fertility, and we really like that. So it works really well. As far as the trigger shot is concerned, there's two kind of schools of thought there. There is one school of thought that says that naturally surging is better. And we switched to that for a long time and found that it actually totally tanked our success rates. And then there's another school of thought that says, even if you're naturally surging, you should take the HCG shot because it improves your outcomes. And so then we started doing that. And so we've gone back to using trigger shots. So we support the trigger shot. I think that works better. Instagram, Tarek, I don't know if you're keeping up with all those Instagram questions, buddy. Took 500 milligrams for a week during the 2-week wait. Did I sabotage myself? I'm not sure what you took 500 milligrams for a week. Did you take 500 milligrams of dexamethasone? Or did you take 500 milligrams of Valium? I'm not sure. Whoever asked that question, re-ask that, please. Dr. V&T, thank you for spreading the fertility knowledge to the world. Oh, we're in the States and have a few embryos on ice. How do we get the embryos to you in Canada? Do we need embryo passports? No, you don't need embryo passports, although that's really cute. No, just contact us. Set up a consult with me. My lab will reach out to your lab. Our lab director will communicate with your lab director, arrange for shipping, and then we'll bring you over. It's actually really easy and it's very safe. We've got loads of Americans that ship their embryos to us, so it's kind of an everyday occurrence here. And for the person that said they took a whole whack load of medication for the 2-week wait, they were on curcumin. Curcumin is actually turmeric, and it's a very good anti-inflammatory, so there is nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly fine. I'm going to jump over to Facebook. Hi, Brianna. Does low AMH automatically mean poor quality eggs? H34, AMH 0.13, FSH 9.3, thanks. Yeah, so there's differing schools of thought there as well. The one school says that it does, and there are studies that have demonstrated that the lower your AMH, the higher the risk that the embryos are genetically abnormal. Flipping through the studies that I review every day and every week, today I found one that actually suggests that there is no difference. So it kind of goes back and forth with some studies saying, yes, there is a difference. No, there isn't. it doesn't really make sense that there would not be biologically. It makes sense that if the ovary is aging prematurely, that the quality of the eggs would reflect what an older ovary is working like. So I'm kind of going to hang out in the camp of people that say it does negatively impact things. That doesn't mean you can't get pregnant. It just means it may be harder. Hi, how long and often in a pregnancy do you recommend intralipids in pregnancy with RPL history? Yeah, that's a great question. So it's supposed to be done 5 to 10 days before transfer or conception. It should be done at the 2-week mark when you find out you're pregnant. It should be done at the 6-week mark, and then we do it every 6 weeks after that. We don't know if you need to past 12 weeks. There aren't any comparative studies, but none of our patients want to stop because they're also terrified. And so we keep our prices low and we just let them keep doing it. So that's kind of what we've done. Tarek is asking a question for Lorraine Johnson. Hi, Doc, with a whole bunch of handshakes and happy faces. I'm going to transfer again, this time with donor eggs. My 4th transfer. I'm not sure there's a question there, but congratulations. What's going on with why are you taking 4 times with donor eggs? There should be a much higher chance. We'll figure that one out. Lorraine, if you're still watching, tell us why you're trying so many times. There's got to be something we can do to help you there. Okay, so Instagram. Hi, I just had to cancel my IVF cycle since I had a lead follicle but grew to 2. I'm assuming that means centimeters by day 6 of stims. I only had 2 other smaller follicles. I have DOR, so low AFC. Any thoughts on how to avoid this? So you can try DHEA. You can try testosterone priming. You can do human growth hormone. All 3 of those have been shown to potentially benefit in that situation. In that situation, normally I would have stopped as well because that too is ready too quickly, and just kind of waited. Or you could do waited for another month, or you could consider doing duostim, retrieve that one now, and then move on to focusing on those other 2 remaining eggs, and do a luteal phase stim. So that's a reasonable approach for you as well. What is your belief on elevated NK cells and intralipid infusions? I think that was probably the same patient. Could NK cells be an actual issue? We think so. The data is like back and forth, but everyone acknowledges the fact that the immune system is critical. The problem is we don't know what's normal and what's abnormal for sure, and we don't know what treatments really work or really don't. But we know that the NK activity is important. So yes, most people are going to tell you that elevated NK activity is a problem, and intralipids do actually work. So we support that. How does the Fertility test compare to the Emma Alice test? I was told Emma Alice is better. No, actually, Emma Alice is a little bit more limited than the Fertility test. You actually get more information with Fertility. But they're basically both the same. I'm not going to favor one over the other. They're kind of similar overall. So you'll probably get reasonably the same outcomes. Oh, here's a good one. Dr. V, is it safe to get the shingles shot while pregnant? Or while trying to conceive? The shingles shot, to the best of my knowledge, is a live attenuated virus. It's safe while you're trying to conceive, but I wouldn't want to do it right around the time you're trying to conceive because it does overactivate your immune system, and that can be a problem. Tarek, I don't know if people just stopped asking on YouTube and Facebook, but we didn't get any more questions there, so I'm not sure if I'm missing them or what's happening there. Okay. Can you tell from a follicle ultrasound, I guess they mean follicular ultrasound, whether the large follicle is an egg versus a cyst? How do you really know? You can sometimes, but not always. So size is an issue. If it's huge, it's a cyst. It's not an egg. So once it gets past like 2.8 centimeters, you start worrying about a cyst. And then the outer rim matters. So if it's really bright, we think more cyst. If it's like dark or not that obvious, then we don't think cyst, we think follicle. And then the content matters. So if it's thick and murky or looks like fuzzy kind of, then that's definitely a cyst. It's not a follicle. So that all of those are features we look for. And then if there's anything inside the follicle, like a dividing line sometimes that we see, that can also be a problem as well and suggest a cyst rather than being just a follicle. Instagram, how often do you see a single embryo transferred splitting? So if you have a frozen embryo transfer, it's 1 in 300. Fresh is probably a little bit higher, but it's really pretty rare. I mean, we've only had it happen once in our program here, and I had it happen 3 times in the last 12 years prior to that. So not very common. It's pretty unlikely. Hi, Dr. V. My fertility results say I have bacterial vaginosis for which I need to take the antibiotic cocktail. I'm supposed to retest after, but I'd like to avoid paying them. Is there a cheaper over-the-counter way to retest? Sadly, no. And I'm not a fan of making you pay anybody anything, but there is no over-the-counter way to retest. So I'm sorry about that, but there is nothing. You have to go back to Fertility. They're the best ones for doing it. YouTube, if letrozole is used in combo with other stims, will this cause a leading follicle situation and asynchronous growth? No, not usually. Letrozole has been shown to work really well with stims. And in fact, we use it frequently now for all of our older patients. So that's really important. And then I don't know who was asking the question, but someone said my age was the factor. We think I was 41, 42 at retrieval. Maybe that's for the same asynchronous growth question. Age can be the factor. It definitely is a factor in asynchronous follicular development. So yes, that's definitely a possibility. That might be a time where you might want to use estrogen priming or DHEA priming or testosterone priming, and then human growth hormone. All of those can kind of line up your eggs. Facebook started working again. Hey, Dr. V, when would you use HCG wash during an IVF transfer? Hey, Chantal. 15 minutes before the embryo transfer is what has been shown to be the best. So we do 15 minutes before the embryo transfer. That apparently is your best timing for getting the optimal result from the HCG. There's a study that came out last week that said 5 to 10 minutes, but we're doing 15. So there was a meta-analysis that said 15. So somewhere around that time. And usually what I'll do is do it, run out, and then come back in and do it again for the embryo transfer. And we get really good results that way. Cindy, 41 years old, AMH7. Oh, that's actually not bad. Last round of IVF, I got 20 eggs. Wow, 6 blasts retrieved a year ago. Should I try again? Doctor recommended 3 back-to-back IVF retrievals, so don't wait for period, he said, to make sure I get enough eggs. Well, Cindy, congratulations on your amazing results. You don't need to try again unless you don't know the genetics of the blasts. So if you know that your blastocysts are genetically normal and you have 6, I would definitely not try again. That's more than enough for at least 1 or probably 2 or 3 babies. If you don't know the genetics and you're 41, you can estimate that probably 4 or 5 of them will be genetically not normal, in which case I would recommend doing more because you really are only dealing with 1 genetically normal embryo. Allison, when doing duostim, how many days are typically between the first and second retrieval? Well, it depends if you split it into 2 separate months, Ali, but if you're doing it in the same month, you do your retrieval, you wait 5 days, and then you restart the next stim. If you're splitting it, it's 2 separate months, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. Lorraine Johnson, I kept getting pregnant, but ended in miscarriage. Any tips? Yeah, if you keep having miscarriages, then we need to talk to you. It could be something other than just age. So that's something where we jump in and we start looking at all the details and figuring out what's wrong. So we look at your immune system, we look at infections, we look at your hormones, we look at your vitamin levels, we look at your genetics, we look at your partner sperm quality. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we take a look at. Oh, okay. So Lorraine is our friend with the 4 donor eggs that were transferred. Lorraine, you need to reach out and I will help you. That does not make sense. So that's not you. That's or the embryo. That's a problem with something else. So we need to figure that out together. So let me know and we'll help you through that for sure. Chantel, do we need to do a wash every time? When would it happen versus not needing to do the HCG wash? It's patient preference if you want to do the HCG wash. So it's not something we force on anybody, obviously. So if you want to do it, we will do it. Yes, it does need to be done every time you're doing an HCG wash. It's specific to that particular time, very much so because it's within 15 minutes. Why might you choose doing duo-stim retrievals in the same month versus 2 separate months? That's a good question, Allison. So in certain cases, it's actually really difficult to tell if the eggs that are showing up are new eggs or they're the leftovers from the ones we drained, and then you can end up triggering for the wrong follicles. So we've started doing quite a bit of what we call split duo-stim, where we actually split the 2 duo-stim cycles into your follicular in 1 month and then a luteal phase stim in another month. And we're getting good results with that. So that seems to be working better for us. So that's a good approach to things as far as I am concerned. Tarek, I don't think I'm getting YouTube questions if there are some, but maybe there aren't any. Okay, what does a low protein S value 73 mean? That means you have protein S deficiency, and that means you're at a higher risk of forming blood clots. Why do I look fuzzy all of a sudden, like it's blurry? So if you have blood clots, then that is a problem with the formation of the placenta, where when it's attaching, it won't form the right kind of blood vessels. And so if that's the case, you need to be on blood thinners. If you're allergic to aspirin, you need to be taking heparin and probably Plaquenil, possibly. Yeah, something along those lines, or a clopidogrel or something to help you. But if aspirin doesn't work for you, then try something like heparin for sure. Does our clinic use estrase pills during the IVF transfer cycle? Yes, we do, but we try to minimize it as much as possible. If we can avoid it altogether, we like to avoid it altogether. I'm going to wipe this camera because it looks like it's very fuzzy. Sorry, everybody. Maybe that'll reset the focus a little bit. No, I still look out of focus. Okay. So yeah, we try and minimize the amount of estrase that we use because estrogen is not good for your embryo transfer. My clinic suggests 100 milligrams, I'm assuming, of endometrium twice a day. Is it enough after a 3-day fresh embryo transfer? It could be after a fresh embryo transfer. We don't do very many fresh embryo transfers because they don't make a lot of sense. It's better to use frozen embryo transfers, and most people are not doing day 3 now. But if you're fresh, your own egg is producing some progesterone, or it should be anyways, so then you don't want to overdo it. Keep in mind that we use progesterone in oil and vaginal, so that's important. Ovidrel trigger shot timing. What timing is recommended for IUI after taking the Ovidrel shot the same day as natural LH surge? 12, 24, or 36? Oh, definitely 24. That one's easy. You definitely want to do 24. 12 would be okay, but most places are going to do a 24-hour. Yeah. Okay. Hi, Dr. V. Thanks for doing this. If I have Fertility results, when do I go through them? Also, when do meds start for egg collection? I know I call cycle day 1. Which meds should I have? You need to call your nurse. So, oh, we froze. That's a problem. We froze on Restream. Tarek, I don't know if you can still hear me. I'm going to try and, oh, there we are. The camera's frozen, but the questions are still coming. Okay. So it froze on my end for some weird reason. So yeah, you would want to review the Fertility results with me before we do an embryo transfer. And for your meds, you should have all your meds before you start your stim. So reach out to your nurse for sure. What is a good dosage of growth hormone to take prior to stim and during stim? Usually most studies have looked at somewhere between 6 to 12 units. So we've always done 8. So that's what we use, 8 units per day. Hi, Dr. B. I'm wondering when would be the best time you would recommend using a surrogate? Oh, wow. Well, if you've had multiple failed transfers despite every single thing you can do, then we recommend using a surrogate. If you have done, you know, some kind of surgery to your uterus and there's damage like scarring, Asherman syndrome, and it can't be corrected, that's another time we would recommend doing using a surrogate. If your health risks are considerable, that's another time we would recommend using a surrogate. Do you know the success rate for live birth with a day 5 embryo rated 4AA? It depends, Chantel, if it's genetically normal or not. If it's genetically normal going into a healthy uterus with no previous failures or problems, in our hands, we'd be looking at around 70%, maybe even 80. So it depends on who the recipient is, what their health is like, and it depends on whether or not you know the embryo is genetically normal. So all of those things are super important. Okay, YouTube, thoughts on HCG boosters? Yeah, and if for them, what would be the recommended dosing and frequency? HCG boosters have actually been studied extensively. They are of no value whatsoever. So we don't do it because it doesn't help you at all. How do you find out if you have elevated NK cells? We use Fertility. So you just reach out to Fertility. There's a Victory link, and they can give it to you, and then they'll help you. So that's the best way to do that. We have a repeat question, but I already answered that one about the BV. So Instagram. What are your thoughts on 38 to 40 week inductions because pregnancy is from IVF? Also had COVID. Pregnancy is being smooth, otherwise currently 33 weeks. So we have a whole video on that because some crazy person on Instagram was telling women that they should wait till after 42 weeks in the UK, which is absolute nonsense. And so we did a whole video on reasons to induce. So yes, you should absolutely be induced at 39 weeks because it reduces your risks of complications. It reduces your chance of cesarean section. It increases the chances the baby will be born alive and healthy and well. And there are 0 complications. And it has a higher satisfaction rate than waiting. So don't wait, especially with an IVF pregnancy, but it's actually true for everybody. You should be induced at 39 weeks. It's safer. Can human growth hormones really aid in improving egg quality? Really is a good question, but the short answer is yes, we believe it can. There are numerous studies which support the use of human growth hormone. There are some that say it doesn't work as well, but there are a number that say that it does. So I think that that's pretty reasonable to consider. Hi, Dr. V. Recent retrieval, 9 eggs. Awesome. 5 mature. Good. 4 fertilized, very good. 2 to blastocyst, that's great. 225 gonal, 225 menopure, 35. AMH 18.8. Yeah, somebody didn't do something right there. So first of all, you're on a lot of meds, and if your AMH is actually 18.8, you should have had more eggs than that. So it's one where I would reach out to us because 18.8, we're usually getting 20 eggs and we'll get 16 mature. And that's a high dose of meds. So I would want to know if you were on birth control pills first, if they had suppressed you for some reason. Poor sperm morphology should not be making you only get that many eggs. I mean, that's got nothing to do with it. So that's a great case for where you should reach out to us and we should review what happened, because we could usually do better. I asked about NK cells and infusions. 4 transfers with tested embryos all ended before heartbeat, just got tested and they're elevated. Yes, unfortunately, your immune system can be the cause of why you're getting pregnant and then miscarrying, Mrs. Jessie Nedbalek. So yeah, that is possible. I'm sorry you had to go through that, but yes, that is a possible source of the problems. Does icing a man's scrotum really help? Yes, it actually really helps. We do know that keeping the testicles cool actually will improve sperm function. So that's why we tell our guys to sit on frozen peas. My doctor said he would prescribe blood thinners. Oh, for the low protein S. Once I have a confirmed pregnancy, not before. Thoughts? Your doctor doesn't know what they're doing. It's too late if you're already pregnant, because the placental formation is the part where it's really important. Waiting too late doesn't allow the placenta to form properly, and it's a setup for disaster. So yes, it can cause problems with implantation and miscarriage, and that needs to be dealt with before you even try to get pregnant, not after you're already pregnant. That just biologically doesn't make sense what your doctor is telling you. Hi. Regarding low protein S, what's the difference between Lovenox and Heparin? Any preference? 40-year-old, several chemicals. Thank you. So Lovenox is low molecular weight heparin. It's a little bit safer, and less of it will get through to the baby. And then the old-fashioned heparins are unfractionated, so you're getting all of the heparins all at once. No one uses unfractionated heparin anymore, to the best of my knowledge, for almost anything. So everybody's using Lovenox or Inahep or one of those. So yeah, we would recommend using Lovenox. It is more expensive. I had intralipids today. Is it common to have bad headaches and feel exhausted? No, it is not common, Chantel. So reach out to your nurse. You might feel tired, but I mean, you were sitting around for 3 hours getting an infusion. So that's not totally normal. Let us know if you have any other weird symptoms, okay? Hi, Dr. V. If I only have one euploid embryo and never did a previous transfer, what would you recommend to check for to rule out any concerns and give the best possible outcome? Oh, wow. You know, we talk about this all the time internally. For patients that only have one embryo, it's not unreasonable to do extra testing. So we would want to look at things like the fertility tests. So you want to do your immune system. You want to check for infections in the lining. You may want to get, your vitamin levels checked. Double check all of your hormones. Double check your thyroid. Make sure your antibody levels are low. There's a lot of stuff we would check to make sure. Yeah. Hi, Dr. V. 2 canceled transfers due to poor lining using estrogen tablets and patches. I have DOR and haven't had a cycle on my own in years. Is there another way to help my lining? Yeah, sure. There's lots of ways to help your lining. So you can use Neupogen, which is GM-CSF. You can use various types of estrogen administration. You could try Letrozole for stimulation, or even the shots for stimulation. You can use PRP, vitamin C, D, and E, Viagra. All of these have been shown. Acupuncture may be helpful, and baby aspirin. And Tarek, you and I did a video, buddy, a couple of weeks back on that exact topic when we were at the bench. But I don't think you've posted that yet. So post that, because we need material for YouTube. So yeah, put that up there and we'll get that done. Angel and Neo. Hi, Dr. V. I just started at your clinic and I was just wondering the price of your Ovidrel sperm washing and the IUI procedure. Okay, so we don't sell the Ovidrel directly, but our Ovidrel, I think, is around $90. Don't quote me on that. It's like $90, $100. But don't quote me. It goes through the pharmacy. Sperm washing is $350 for the conventional method and $450 for the special chip method with Zymo, where it supposedly reduces bad quality sperm from getting through. And then you're not being charged for the IUI procedure. That's covered by the government. Carly Steele, I was told I don't have to stop my spin class during my egg retrieval cycle. No, Carly, you need to take it easy in spin class. You're going to be spinning all the blood away from your ovaries, which is not a good idea. So take it easy during the stim phase. Plus, you'll be way too uncomfortable because your legs will be going up and down right next to your ovaries. And if they get big enough, that will not be fun for you at all. So no spin class, dear. Hi, Dr. V. Current client. IUIs and medicated cycles. Just did funded IVF with another clinic, but interested in doing next rounds at VRC. Hey, approximately how long would we need to wait for the next retrieval? I need to do your consult and figure out what's wrong and make sure I know what's wrong before we do anything. So just get your family doc to send a referral to us. We'll get you in relatively quickly for your consult, whether you see me or see Dr. Mayrand, and then it's usually going to be me for something like that. And then depending on what testing you've already done and how recent it was, we may not need any repeat testing, but sometimes you need treatment before we go into IVF. Rushing through IVF is a very good way to make your doctor rich and make you very poor because you'll have to just do it again. So don't rush into IVF. Rushing through IVF is a great way to waste a lot of money. It has absolutely zero benefit, even for people with diminished ovarian reserve. And that's been proven. You can wait up to 6 months with no difference in outcome. So don't rush your IVF cycle. Get your best IVF cycle. Don't get your fastest IVF cycle. Anyone willing to help you super quickly to rush through your IVF cycle is not helping you. They're literally not helping you. So don't do that. I am a teacher, so it would be great if next cycle was available. If that's the same patient, I get it. That's a different story. Reach out to me on Instagram, DM me, and I'll put you in touch with the office and see what we can do. I guess I should have read the second part of the question. Hi, Dr. V. I have a unicornuate uterus. What do you recommend for a successful FET in regards to unicornuate uterus? Nothing. It's garden variety. They just got to make sure that it's tipped in the right way to see it. If a lot of unicornuate uteruses are tipped down, so then you need the transvaginal guided ultrasound transfer, but otherwise there's no reason to do anything different. So we would do everything the exact same way. There's no reason to do anything different. We would recommend you stay on lots and lots of progesterone. That should be helpful for you to try and minimize the risks that the lining, or not the lining, that the uterus is going to get irritated and want to deliver early. But aside from that, there's no risks. How long after all surgery should do last transfer of non-tested embryo? Not sure what they mean by ALL surgery, all surgery. If you've had laparoscopic surgery of a non-tested embryo, you could do it the next month. There's no reason to wait. Had a successful FET. Why is it necessary to stay on progesterone for 12 weeks? Because your placenta is where the progesterone will eventually come from, and you need progesterone to support the pregnancy. And until 12 weeks, it hasn't fully taken over. So that's the reason we keep it that long. I did a short protocol and had some follicles that grew too fast, so my retrieval was canceled. I was put on the long protocol. Is it better? It can be. If your follicles are growing too quickly, getting suppressed and then growing your eggs may help. The problem is you tend to get fewer eggs. So those are more the ones where we favor doing duostem, because then we can get the first batch and the second batch at different times, but you're picking up all the eggs. So there may be alternatives to what they're trying for you. YouTube, would you recommend a Neupogen wash over Neupogen injections for a fresh transfer, or both? That's a great question. So I've been doing a lot of research about Neupogen. So Neupogen wash is actually primarily targeted at thin linings. And Neupogen injections are primarily targeted at people with recurrent failures. There is some crossover, but that's what the main issue is. So it depends on your problem. If your problem is that you are recurrently miscarrying or recurrently failing implantation, you want the injections. If your problem is that your lining isn't thickening enough, you want to do the intrauterine infusion. I think we may have tuckered out the crowd. Oh, no, we did. How long until you could do endosurgery for current client? Listen, guys, the surgery situation in Windsor is an unholy disaster. I don't even talk to people about it anymore. It's that bad. It's months and months and months. We have no idea. I went from having 4 days a month, sometimes 5, to having 1 day a month. So we can only get in emergencies and basically nothing else. That's about it. When would I consider transferring 2 embryos? Untested and age over 35. It's reasonable as long as you're not in a government funding program because it's mandated for one. Or you've tried one several times and it isn't working. That's reasonable. Or if you have one really good one and one not so good one and you just kind of want to get it over with, that's okay too. In rare circumstances, older women who are desperate to just have twins and get it done, but you really got to be older for me to justify that. So any of those situations would be reasonable. That was the last question as of the second, Tarek says. Okay. Well, let's give Tarek an 8-minute break so you can go back to bed at 4 in the morning, you lunatic. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate that. I do see some of my friends just joining us now. Sorry that you're just joining us now. We're actually going to be signing out unless someone has a last-minute question. Love you all. Have a great evening. Huge round of applause, love, and huge thanks to Tarek Ibrahim, who's literally awake at 4 a.m. to do this for us in Istanbul, Turkey. So Tarek, we love you. You're the best. There's all those hearts going up for you on Instagram, buddy. You're the best. Quick last-minute question. Of course, now they're coming. Does acid reflux cause inflammation in the body that could potentially cause any issues with IVF? It's fine to take Pepcid, and yes, any inflammation in your body is bad. You're welcome for answering your questions. We love you guys. Good night from both myself and Tarek. Tarek, I'm not sure what you're going to do, but I'm going to sign off. Have a good night, everybody, and we will see you in probably about a week. Hopefully Tarek's back by then. More rounds of applause and hearts for Tarek. Tarek, we love you, buddy. You're a total warrior. You're the best man. Have a good night, guys. Take care.